Anthony Brooks had faced many challenges throughout his life, but the incident at the airport was a powerful reminder of the work still needed to be done. It was one thing to build an airline and be successful, but it was another thing entirely to change the culture inside the company and the minds of the people who worked there. After the airport incident, Anthony felt a deep responsibility. He knew that prejudice and unfair treatment were not just problems outside his airline, they sometimes existed within it as well. He understood that if he wanted Brooks Air to truly stand out, it needed to be a place where respect, equality, and kindness were not just words on paper, but real actions practiced every day. He started by gathering his top managers and staff for a series of meetings. Anthony didn't want these to be ordinary corporate gatherings. He wanted honest conversations. So he invited experts on diversity and inclusion, people who could explain how unconscious bias works and why it's important to recognize it. The sessions were eye-opening for many. Some employees realized they had unknowingly treated others unfairly or made assumptions based on skin color, clothing, or accents. Others shared their own experiences of feeling ignored or underestimated. The meetings helped everyone see how small actions could hurt people and how important it was to change. Anthony also made it clear that change was not optional. Every staff member, from the pilots to the front desk clerks, had to participate in regular training. The airline updated its policies to include strict rules against discrimination and clear procedures to handle complaints fairly and quickly. But Anthony knew that policies and training were not enough. Culture comes from the top, and leaders must set the example. So he made a point to personally meet and talk with employees from all departments. He wanted them to know that he cared about their well-being and their voices mattered. One story touched Anthony deeply. A young black pilot named Marcus told him about times when he was questioned by passengers who doubted his qualifications just because of his appearance. Marcus said it hurt, but he also said he was proud to be part of an airline that was trying to change things. Anthony saw in Marcus a reflection of himself, the same struggle, the same determination. He promised Marcus that Brooks Air would keep fighting to break down barriers and create opportunities for talented people, no matter their background. Meanwhile, the airline's customers began to notice the changes too. Brooks Air became known, not only for luxury and comfort but also for its welcoming environment. Passengers spoke about the friendly staff, the smooth service, and the company's commitment to fairness. This reputation brought new clients and strengthened loyalty among existing ones. Anthony also used his position to support causes beyond his airline. He started scholarships for young people interested in aviation, especially those from underrepresented communities. He sponsored programs to teach kids about science and technology, and gave talks in schools to inspire the next generation. His efforts caught the attention of the media and industry leaders. Anthony was invited to conferences and panels to share his story and advocate for diversity in aviation. He spoke with passion about the importance of inclusion, not just because it's the right thing to do, but because it makes businesses stronger and communities better. But Anthony's journey was not without setbacks. Some people resisted the changes. A few longtime employees resented the new training and policies, feeling threatened by the shift in culture. Some competitors tried to downplay his success, spreading rumors or questioning the quality of Brooks Air's service. Anthony met these challenges with patience and confidence. He believed that actions speak louder than words. He continued to invest in his employees, improve service, and expand the airline's reach. Slowly but surely, Brooks Air grew into a respected brand known for excellence and fairness. One of Anthony's proudest moments came when Brooks Air was chosen to fly a special mission for a major international event. The airline was trusted to transport VIPs, diplomats, and celebrities safely and comfortably. This recognition was a huge achievement, showing that the company had truly earned its place among the top airlines. Behind the scenes, Anthony continued to nurture his team, encouraging innovation and teamwork. He believed that everyone, no matter their role, played an important part in the airline's success. His leadership was not about orders and control, but about listening, supporting, and inspiring. Over time, Brooks Air became more than just an airline. It became a symbol of possibility and progress. For many, Anthony Brooks was not just a businessman. He was a role model, a pioneer who showed that with vision, courage, and kindness, it's possible to soar above challenges and create something meaningful. And through it all, Anthony never forgot his roots. He often visited his old neighborhood, speaking to young people about dreams and determination. He told them his story, not to boast but to remind them that no matter where you come from, you can rise if you believe in yourself and work hard. Anthony's story continued to inspire countless people, not just in aviation but everywhere. It was a story about more than just an airline. It was about breaking barriers, lifting others up, and making the world a little fairer, one flight at a time. His journey proved that success is sweetest when shared, and that real leadership is about creating a world where everyone can take off and reach for the sky. Anthony Brooks was born in the heart of Atlanta, Georgia. His neighborhood was quiet but not rich. The streets were filled with kids playing ball, families cooking outside on weekends, and old cars passing by with music playing. Life there was not easy, but it was full of love. Anthony lived with his mom and dad in a small two-bedroom house. His father worked two jobs, one as a mechanic during the day and the other cleaning offices at night. His mother was a school teacher, always marking papers and reading books. They didn't have much money, but they had strong values. They believed in hard work, honesty, and never giving up, no matter what. Anthony was always different. While most kids dreamed of being rappers, athletes, or actors, Anthony loved airplanes. He could sit for hours just watching the sky. Every time a plane flew overhead, he'd stop whatever he was doing and look up with wide eyes. Sometimes he'd even run outside and wave. He didn't want to just fly in one. He wanted to build them. He had no idea how he'd do that, but deep inside, he knew he would. At school, Anthony was quiet but smart. He loved math and science. He'd ask questions that even his teachers didn't expect. One time in fourth grade, the teacher was talking about gravity, and Anthony asked, "If gravity pulls everything down, how do airplanes stay up?" The class laughed, but the teacher smiled. "That's a good question, Anthony. Maybe one day you'll answer it yourself." But school wasn't always kind. Anthony often felt like he didn't belong. The textbooks were old, the school windows were cracked, and there weren't enough computers. Some teachers didn't believe in him. One even said to his mother during a parent-teacher meeting, "Anthony is bright, but he should lower his expectations. Kids like him don't usually go far in engineering." His mother was furious, but she didn't yell. She simply said, "My son will go as far as he wants. Watch him." That same night, Anthony asked his mom what the teacher meant. She looked at him and said, "Some people will always see your skin before they see your mind, but that's their problem, not yours. You're going to do something big, baby, bigger than any of them can imagine." Those words stayed in Anthony's heart like fire. He started visiting the local library almost every day after school. He read every book on airplanes he could find. He learned about the Wright brothers, Amelia Earhart, and even modern engineers who designed jets and rockets. He started drawing his own airplanes in a notebook. Small ones, big ones, even flying cars. His parents didn't always understand the pictures, but they always praised his effort. Sometimes his dad would bring him parts of broken machines and let him take them apart and put them back together. As Anthony grew older, his love for planes grew too. When he was 16, he found a part-time job cleaning a small hangar at the edge of town. It was hard work, sweeping floors, wiping windows, and taking out the trash, but he didn't care. Just being near airplanes made him happy. He used to finish his work early so he could sit near the edge of the runway and watch the planes take off. He'd listen closely when the mechanics talked and tried to learn from their conversations. Sometimes he'd ask questions. At first they ignored him. But one mechanic, an older man named Rick, noticed Anthony's curiosity. "You like planes, huh?" Rick asked one evening. Anthony nodded quickly. "Yes, sir. I want to build them one day." Rick chuckled. "That's a big dream." "I know," Anthony replied. "But I'll get there." From that day on, Rick started teaching him little things: how engines worked, what made planes lift, and even how to fix small problems. Rick was impressed by how fast Anthony learned. "You've got a mind built for the sky," he'd say. When it came time for college, Anthony applied to the best engineering schools in the country. He wrote in his application essays about his dream to build airplanes, the nights he spent at the hangar, and the notebook full of designs he'd made since he was a kid. He didn't know if it was enough. He had good grades but no fancy awards, no rich background, and no connections. Then one day he got a letter in the mail. It was from a top university. He opened it slowly, his hands shaking. The words hit him like thunder. "We are pleased to offer you a full scholarship." He shouted so loud that his mom dropped a plate in the kitchen. She ran over, saw the letter, and hugged him tight with tears in her eyes. "I told you, baby. I told you." College was a whole new world. The campus was big and beautiful, filled with students from all over the country. But it wasn't always easy for Anthony. He was one of the few black students in the aerospace engineering program. Some professors treated him well, but others looked at him like he didn't belong. In study groups, some students ignored his ideas until they were repeated by someone else. There were nights when he felt alone and wondered if he had made a mistake. But every time he thought about giving up, he remembered his parents' sacrifices. He remembered the cracked windows in his old school, the teacher who said he wouldn't make it, and the airplanes in his notebook. So he kept going. He studied harder than anyone else. He spent weekends in the lab, building tiny aircraft models and testing them. He entered competitions and started winning. Slowly, professors began to notice. One even offered him a chance to intern at a real aerospace company. During that internship, Anthony finally saw what it was like inside the big world of aviation. He got to touch advanced aircraft, watch top engineers work, and sit in meetings where future planes were being planned. But even there, he noticed something. He was still often the only black man in the room. Sometimes people assumed he was a janitor or an assistant. One engineer even handed him his coffee order without asking. But Anthony didn't let those things make him bitter. Instead, they made him more determined. "If I ever run my own company," he told himself, "I'll make sure people like me are not just in the room. We'll be running it." When he graduated, he had honors, offers from big companies, and a fire inside him that couldn't be put out. He didn't know it yet, but the boy who once watched planes from a dirty hangar floor was on his way to owning one of the finest airlines in the country. Anthony Brooks's journey from a bright young student with big dreams to the owner of a successful airline was anything but easy. After graduating from university with a degree in aerospace engineering, he was ready to conquer the world. But reality soon showed him that talent and hard work alone might not be enough. When Anthony stepped into his first job at a major aircraft manufacturing company, he was filled with excitement. This was the place where dreams became real airplanes, where his childhood passion could finally take flight. He worked long hours, pouring himself into every project. His designs were clever, efficient, and sometimes even ahead of their time. He quickly earned the respect of a few close colleagues, but the corporate world was tough. The company was old-fashioned and controlled mostly by people who had been there for decades. Many of them didn't see Anthony the same way he saw himself. Instead of being treated like a future leader, he was often overlooked. Promotions came slowly, if at all. His ideas were sometimes ignored, especially when presented by him. Anthony noticed that meetings were often dominated by people who looked like him less and less. When he asked for new responsibilities, he was told to wait his turn. He began to realize that the company wasn't just a place where skill mattered. Politics, connections, and biases played a huge role. One day, after yet another promotion went to someone else, Anthony sat alone in a small cafe near the office. He looked at the steaming cup of coffee and thought about his future. Should he keep working in a place where he was invisible, or should he try something different? The answer was clear in his heart. If he wanted to truly make a difference, he needed to create his own path, so Anthony took a risk. He quit his stable job with no backup plan except his passion and a head full of ideas. Starting his own company seemed impossible, but he believed that if he could build airplanes, he could also build a business. He began in a small rented hangar at a local airport. The space was cramped, dusty, and filled with old equipment. Anthony didn't have millions of dollars or fancy investors. He had to use his savings, borrow from friends, and work day and night to get started. The first thing he did was focus on fixing and upgrading older planes. Many businesses had aircraft that were outdated but still useful if retrofitted with better parts and modern technology. Anthony's knowledge made this possible. He carefully designed new systems to make these planes safer, faster, and more comfortable. His clients were mostly small businesses and charter companies that couldn't afford new jets but wanted to offer a better service. At first, the business grew slowly. People were unsure about trusting a new company, especially one led by a young black entrepreneur in a field usually dominated by large corporations. Anthony faced skepticism everywhere. Investors were hesitant to put money into his company. Some clients would call him to negotiate but then cancel when they saw his team or office. Once, a potential business partner even asked, "Can I speak to the actual owner?" Not believing that Anthony, who was dressed casually and working alongside his mechanics, was the man in charge. Despite all this, Anthony never lost his cool. He greeted every challenge with patience and professionalism. He believed that in time, his work would speak louder than anyone's doubts. And slowly, it did. Over the next few years, Brooks Aero, as he named his company, began to grow. Anthony reinvested every dollar back into the business. He bought more planes, hired skilled workers from different backgrounds, and made sure his company was known for quality and trust. His clients started to notice the difference. Planes that flew better, arrived on time, and offered real comfort. Word of mouth spread. More companies wanted to work with Brooks Aero. Anthony also focused on creating opportunities for others who, like him, had been overlooked. He hired people based on talent, not background, giving chances to young engineers, mechanics, and pilots from communities rarely seen in aviation. His hangar became a place of innovation and respect, where everyone worked hard and supported each other. The company's reputation caught the eye of bigger investors. After years of hard work, Anthony secured a deal with a group willing to back his vision for a luxury airline. This was his chance to move beyond fixing old planes and create something new and exciting. Brooks Air. Launching. Brooks Air was a huge challenge. Starting an airline meant dealing with regulations, safety rules, airport contracts, and millions of dollars in costs. But Anthony's experience gave him an advantage. He understood the technical side and the business side, and he had a team that believed in his dream. Brooks Air started by offering luxury charter flights for executives and celebrities. The planes were sleek, with comfortable leather seats, top-quality service, and the latest technology. The airline promised privacy, speed, and style. Slowly, it became known as one of the best in the country. Anthony never forgot where he came from. He made sure his airline hired pilots and staff from diverse backgrounds and trained them well. He also used his company's success to inspire others, speaking at schools and conferences about the importance of dreams, hard work, and breaking barriers. Despite his wealth and success, Anthony stayed humble. He avoided flashy displays of money and fame. He preferred to let his work do the talking. To many, he was a quiet but powerful force, changing the face of aviation one flight at a time. Of course, not everyone accepted him easily. Some competitors tried to push Brooks Air out of important airports or spread rumors about the company. Anthony faced lawsuits, regulatory hurdles, and sometimes cruel media stories. But each time he stood firm, confident in his vision and values. Through it all, Anthony's belief in himself and his dream never wavered. The boy who once cleaned hangars and drew planes in a notebook was now a respected businessman and airline owner. But more than that, he was a symbol. Proof that with passion, persistence, and integrity, anyone could rise above their circumstances. His journey showed that success wasn't just about money or power. It was about courage to start, patience to grow, and the kindness to lift others along the way. Brooks Aero and Brooks Air were not just companies. They were Anthony's legacy, a testament to dreams built from the ground up, in a world that sometimes said no, but couldn't stop him from saying yes. If you ever walked into one of Anthony's planes, you wouldn't just see luxury and comfort. You'd see hope, determination, and a story that reminded everyone on board that the sky is not the limit. It's only the beginning. Anthony Brooks had come a long way from his childhood days of dreaming about airplanes while watching them fly over his small neighborhood. He was now the proud owner of Brooks Air, a luxury airline known for its excellent service and modern fleet. Yet, even with all his success, Anthony preferred to keep a low profile. He often traveled without a large entourage or flashy displays of wealth. For him, the joy was in the journey, not the show. One day, Anthony had to make a sudden business trip. It was important, and he needed to be on the next flight out. Because of the last-minute nature of the trip, he booked a business-class seat on Brooks Air, but he dressed casually, jeans, a hoodie, and sneakers. He wanted to avoid any unnecessary attention and simply get to his meeting on time. At the airport, things didn't go as smoothly as he expected. As Anthony approached the check-in counter, he noticed the usual hustle of people rushing to catch their flights. Business travelers in suits stood in line, typing on laptops or making last-minute calls. Airline staff moved briskly, helping passengers with their boarding passes and luggage. Anthony stepped forward, presenting his ticket to the clerk. The woman behind the counter glanced at his ticket, then up at him. Her eyes narrowed slightly. He could feel the coldness in her tone as she said, "Business class line starts over there, sir." Anthony smiled politely and said, "I am flying business class." The clerk didn't seem convinced. She repeated, "Please wait in the economy line until we verify your ticket." Anthony was calm but confused. He showed his ticket again, but she still hesitated. Other staff nearby noticed the interaction and started whispering among themselves. Some passengers looked over, curious about the situation. It wasn't the first time Anthony had faced judgment based on how he looked. Despite being the airline's owner, dressed down and without any special treatment, he was being treated like just another traveler. This moment brought back memories of when he was young, cleaning hangars, and ignored by industry leaders. Anthony decided not to make a scene. He stayed composed and waited patiently, letting the staff check his information. A few minutes later, a second employee joined. They whispered quietly, casting glances at Anthony. The tension in the air was uncomfortable. Finally, the clerk spoke to her colleague. "It seems everything is in order. Please proceed to the business class boarding area." Anthony nodded and moved toward the gate. However, as he tried to board early with other business class passengers, the gate agent stopped him. "Sir, business class boarding has not started." "Yet," she said firmly. "I'm in business class," Anthony replied calmly. "I'm just boarding a bit early." The agent hesitated and checked her screen again. Nearby passengers were watching, some frowning, some whispering. One passenger muttered under his breath, probably trying to sneak in. Anthony felt the weight of their eyes but kept his dignity. After a moment, the agent reluctantly let him pass, muttering something about a computer glitch. The entire experience was strange for Anthony. He had spent years building this airline from the ground up. Yet, in that small moment, the very people who worked for him treated him as if he was invisible or unworthy. As Anthony settled into his seat in business class, he thought about how far he had come. This incident was a clear reminder that even success and money don't always protect someone from prejudice or misunderstanding. It was a lesson in humility and the everyday realities many people still face, no matter their achievements. Midway through the flight, something unexpected happened. One of the airline's senior managers happened to be on the same plane. She had heard rumors about the incident at the gate and recognized Anthony. Quietly, she approached his seat, her eyes wide with surprise. "Mr. Brooks," she whispered, "I didn't realize you were on this flight." Anthony smiled and nodded. The manager quickly informed the flight crew about his presence and the earlier situation. Suddenly, the mood among the crew changed. Faces that had been indifferent or cold earlier now showed respect and apology. The flight attendants came by with complimentary drinks and snacks, and the manager personally apologized for the confusion and poor treatment. Anthony accepted the apologies graciously, but used the opportunity to make an important point. "This should never happen to anyone," he said softly. "We must treat everyone with respect, no matter who they are or how they look." The moment was quietly powerful. Passengers noticed the change in atmosphere. One passenger, unaware of Anthony's identity at first, later tweeted about the unusual scene on the plane. A respected businessman being mistaken for someone else, then revealed to be the airline owner. The tweet went viral, sparking conversations about prejudice, assumptions, and the importance of kindness. The story made headlines. People around the country were shocked to learn that the man denied his rightful seat and questioned by staff was actually the one who owned the entire airline. It opened a larger discussion about bias and how even in professional settings, assumptions based on appearance could cause real harm. For Anthony, the experience was bittersweet. It showed him that no matter how high he rose, the fight against judgment and prejudice was far from over. But it also strengthened his resolve to change things, not with anger or revenge, but with understanding, education, and better policies. After the incident, Anthony worked closely with his team to improve training for all employees. He introduced new programs focused on respect, inclusion, and recognizing unconscious bias. He wanted every traveler to feel valued and treated fairly, regardless of their background or dress. Anthony's calm and thoughtful reaction inspired many. He showed that leadership wasn't just about power or money, but about humility and compassion. His story reminded everyone that behind every person, there is a story, sometimes hidden, sometimes surprising, deserving of respect. This flight was more than just a trip. It was a turning point. For Anthony, for his airline, and for the hundreds of passengers who witnessed the moment, it became a lesson in humanity. It proved that no matter who you are or where you come from, kindness and respect should always take flight first. Anthony Brooks' story was about much more than just owning an airline. It was about proving to the world and to himself that perseverance, kindness, and belief in others could change not only a company, but an entire industry. After years of hard work, setbacks, and quiet victories, Anthony's vision for Brooks Air had finally taken flight. But the journey was far from over. When the airline grew to become one of the top luxury carriers in the country, Anthony faced new challenges. Success brought attention, and with attention came scrutiny. Some people doubted whether a black businessman could truly manage such a big company. Others tried to find faults in Brooks Air's service or to minimize its accomplishments. But Anthony understood that this was part of the journey. Breaking barriers always attracts critics. He focused on proving that excellence is the best answer to doubt. He invested in new technology, ensuring Brooks Air's fleet was among the most advanced and eco-friendly. He hired experts to improve customer experience, from booking to landing. Each flight was an opportunity to show the world that Brooks Air wasn't just a company, it was a promise of quality and respect. Anthony was also determined to use his success to help others. He remembered the times when doors were closed to him, when people judged him by the color of his skin or the clothes he wore. So he created programs to support young entrepreneurs, especially those from underrepresented backgrounds. He offered mentorship, training, and funding to help them build their dreams. His passion extended beyond business. Anthony became involved in community projects, supporting education, health, and social justice causes. He believed that real success meant lifting up not only oneself, but also those around you. His story inspired many, showing that wealth and power come with responsibility. Meanwhile, Brooks Air continued to grow internationally. Anthony forged partnerships with airlines in other countries and opened new routes connecting cities around the world. The company became a symbol of pride for many, especially in communities that rarely saw themselves represented in the aviation industry. One of the most memorable moments for Anthony was when he was invited to speak at a global aviation conference. Standing before hundreds of industry leaders, he shared his story. Not just the successes, but the struggles, the moments of doubt, and the people who believed in him. His message was simple, but powerful. We must open the skies for everyone, and that begins with opening our minds and hearts. The audience listened intently. Many were inspired to reconsider their own company's cultures and policies. Anthony's story sparked conversations about diversity, inclusion, and fairness that continued long after the conference ended. Despite his busy schedule, Anthony remained grounded. He stayed connected to his employees and customers, often visiting airports, talking with staff, and listening to their stories. He knew that leadership meant being present and approachable, not distant and untouchable. Anthony also made sure to celebrate his team's successes. He recognized employees who went above and beyond, creating a culture of appreciation and respect. This approach built loyalty and motivated everyone to strive for excellence. Over time, Brooks Air became more than just an airline. It was a community, a family. Passengers felt the difference, from the warm welcome at check-in to the attentive service on board. People chose Brooks Air not just for the luxury, but because they believed in the company's values. Anthony's life had changed dramatically. From those early days when he was refused a simple business-class seat, that incident had become a turning point. Not a moment of shame, but a catalyst for change. It pushed him to improve his airline and himself, to ensure that no one else would face the same disrespect. Looking back, Anthony often thought about how far he had come. From a young boy fascinated by airplanes to a successful businessman and community leader, his journey was a testament to resilience and vision. But Anthony never forgot the lessons he learned along the way. He remembered the importance of humility, the power of kindness, and the need to stand up for what is right. He carried these values into every decision he made. His story continued to inspire people from all walks of life. It was a reminder that obstacles are not the end of the road, but challenges to overcome. That with courage, determination, and a generous heart, anyone can soar to new heights. In the end, Anthony Brooks wasn't just the owner of an airline. He was a symbol of hope, a pioneer who showed that the sky is open to everyone willing to take the first step. His legacy was not just the planes flying across the world, but the lives he touched, the barriers he broke, and the dreams he helped others achieve. Anthony's journey proved that success is about more than money or fame. It's about making a difference, lifting others up, and building a future where everyone has a chance to fly.